I want to explain to you what I mean by the value of gold by telling you a couple quick stories. First and foremost, is a gentleman who grew up in the Vietnam War. His father was a translator, Vietnamese, but he's a translator for the US Army. Unfortunately, when the US forces left, they were stuck behind, the entire family of 14. But one of the uncles in the family was a dentist. And over the next several years, he was able to collect gold. Now, I don't know if he collected gold from the people's teeth or how he got it, but he was able to amass several ounces of gold. He took that gold, 7 ounces per person, and he bought them space on a ship that was going to sneak them out of the country in the middle of the night. They went out to sea, and sure enough, everything that could go wrong did go wrong. They got stranded, but they were picked up by the Malaysian Coast Guard. They were taken into port, into Singapore, where the father showed his credentials to the US Embassy, and all 14 family members were given visas to come to the United States. In that situation, they had no concern whatsoever about the price of gold, but every single one of those family members knew the value of gold. Story number 2 was a gentleman that lived in Russia in the early 1990s when they experienced hyperinflation. And he was saving up to buy a motorcycle. He wanted this bike, he saw it in the store every single day, and he saved up for years because that was going to be his. Sure enough, they closed the banks for 2 weeks because of this disaster. And the inflation rate was so high during those 2 weeks that after the banks opened up, he went to the bank, withdrew the money, but he couldn't buy the motorcycle. He could only buy a pack of cigarettes. So any person owning gold in that type of situation would have no concern whatsoever about the price of gold. They would know the value of gold. Gold is pretty darn simple. You buy it, you hold it, you put it into storage. Now, what's cool about storage is you can choose a vault in several different jurisdictions around the world. So you can not only own physical gold, but you can diversify your political risk at the same time, or you can just own it, put it in your backyard, put it in your pocket. That's pretty straightforward. Coming over here to the ETF, and we're going to use the GLD. The custodian is the key player in the GLD ETF. So you may be asking the question right now, well, who is this custodian? Who did the trust hire to do this? Are you ready? This is where you need a stiff drink, because the information that I'm going to share with you right now is going to shock you. The custodian for the GLD ETF is none other than HSBC. HSBC right now is the #1 borrower in the repo market of all things. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go check out my videos on the repo market right now. This is staggering that HSBC, the #1 borrower in the repo market, is in charge of your gold if you own the GLD ETF. Let me take it one step further and give you some background on HSBC. Fined $1.2 billion for violating laws designed to prevent money laundering or other illegal financial activity. Allowed drug traffickers to launder billions of dollars in the United States. Admitted gross violations of the Bank Secrecy Act, which involved laundering over $881 million. Paid a $275 million penalty to settle with the Commodity Futures Trading Commission for manipulation. Fined $470 million for abusive mortgage practices during the 2008 crisis. Faces criminal investigations in US, France, Belgium, and Argentina. So that is the custodian of your gold if you own the GLD. Good luck with that. Step number 3, when you're deciding whether or not to buy the gold ETF or physical gold, we need to understand that there is an inverse relationship with physical gold and trust in the system. So we've got our system right here. We've got the Federal Reserve, we've got the government, and then we have the economy, which we know is built on debt, asset prices, and confidence. Because then we go over here to our conviction barometer. So here we've got 100% conviction. We've got Warren Buffett. We've got 0% down here. That's Peter Schiff. And if you're just like Warren Buffett, where you have 100% confidence in the entire system, and you're only concerned with the price of gold, you see it just like maybe lumber or corn or oil, it's just another commodity, then the ETF is definitely for you. But if you're someone like Schiff that has zero confidence in the system, then your conviction rate for owning the physical gold should be 100%. So what do I prefer? The gold ETF or gold? Well, I always like to remind myself of a quote from Oscar Wilde. I've got a little bit of a twist on it. A fool is a man who knows the price of everything and the value of nothing. So for me personally, I'll take physical gold every single time.